Hello, Virgo. Thank you very much for tuning into this week's read. For the main part of the read, I'm using Tarot Illuminati by Eric C. Dunn. There's the spelling. You know, the whole purpose, if you want to find this deck, this is how you find it. If you want to see more things by that artist, that's how the name is spelt. Supportive Oracle Cards, Chakra Wisdom Oracle Cards by Tori Hartman, illustrated by Gretchen. Same thing with this. That way, if you want to find this deck or you want to find more things about the creators, artists, that stuff is right there, spelling and all that good stuff. All right. There's already like a drum beat going on. Interesting. We're already starting out with some interesting energy. Okay, the first thing I'm kind of getting is like if you're already in this situation, it might be hard, but I feel like be careful of your standards, especially if you're holding yourself to a higher standard than the other people you're dealing with. Just be aware of your standards and where it's actually taking you. Are the standards you have making you happy in the sense of like, you know, I wake up, I feel like I got this. At the end of the day, I'm proud of what I've done. Or are your standards making you feel like I'm the one who has to keep this together? I have to keep the standard high. I have to keep trying. I keep fighting. It's always a battle. Like, be aware of like what the standard is and the need to like, if you're not happy, it's like it's a key indicator that something is off. Something is not balanced correctly. You know what I mean? And you might need to reevaluate what's going on and like self-audit what you're dealing with and kind of move yourself more towards like, you know, I start the day feeling strong, I end the day feeling accomplished. Not I start the day like, oh my God, I have so much to do, and at the end of the day you're like, and there's so much more to do tomorrow. If you're having that reaction, something is off and it's time to reevaluate and start to look at what do I need to change. Because when I'm going into the situation, I'm feeling like there's a past influence here with, is it despondence? Yep, despondence and completion. And I feel like for a lot of you, this is describing why you're in a current situation. Past situation, something has gone on in the past where you haven't been happy with how it turned out. And other people have let things fall through the cracks. And you're like, well, when it was all said and done, it didn't turn out the way I wanted to. Other people had certain responsibilities that they fell through on. So if I'm involved in a situation like this again and I want a certain outcome, it's on my shoulders to make that happen. It's on my shoulders to create my own happiness with that. Which kind of makes sense to me, but partially is also like if you're working with other people and you're going for your own result and you're dragging other people along with you, it feels like you're still kind of going to get shortchanged is what I'm worried about. So be careful of that. Like always, like is what we started off with, you know. Do you start the day feeling empowered or you're like, oh, I got a mountain in front of me? And again, how do you end the day? I did a lot, I feel accomplished, or at the end of the day, you're like, oh, and there's a lot more to do tomorrow. Because if you're not feeling good in the beginning and at end, something needs to be evaluated. This is also concerning me in this situation. Other people, I feel like other people depending on you, but it feels more expectant. Like, you know, you've done, you know, like they can expect you to pick up the pieces or they expect you to take on the major weight of a situation. It's like, I've seen people do this where they just expect, like they're, how do you put this? Like volunteers will be selected, one of those things, like people volunteer you for stuff. Like you don't volunteer yourself, other people are volunteering you for things. Or, you know, you'll show up somewhere and people are just put things in front of you and expect you to do it for them. They didn't really ask, they just assume you will do it for them. And to a point that may be okay depending on the situation, but I'm getting at this point, other people are getting too expectant that you're going to do things. And they really like that. That you're holding up everything for them. I'm assuming you're aware of this. For a very small few, it's just kind of like you're really comfortable with this and not realizing that you're really holding a lot of weight that really is overdone and it's really kind of putting too much on your plate. Because they feel other people relinquishing their responsibilities and putting them over on your plate, and it's kind of like, I feel for a lot of you, you're just kind of accepting that. Why you're accepting that, or if you want to accept that, that's a whole other story. But for a lot of you, I feel like you are. The imbalance here, like, it's coming into the Five of Cups, which I feel very reluctant to go towards. Because I feel like you know how to balance this. You just might be reluctant to do it. Because I'm seeing that bridge in the background, and I'm feeling like there is a way for you to change this. There's a way for you to do this differently. But you're also like, it's almost like a grandmother, showing up and washing the dishes after dinner every day. But kind of like, if she doesn't want to be the one cooking, and because it's like, that's why she's there to help and she's planning to do the dishes, but she shows up and they're like, well, could you make this? Could you set the table? Could you make sure the kids get to the table? Like, she ends up doing almost everything. But at the same time, she's like, yeah, but I love my family and I want to be around them. I really don't want to be, I'm not looking to raise my grandchildren the way I raised my own children, because I've seen this happen. But I don't want to not be connected at the same time. It's like, it's too much. But on the other hand, they're like, but I don't want to lose the connection. But they know that there's a way for them to rebalance this. They know they need to bring this forward, and they're like, you know what? I don't mind helping you once in a while, but I'm not looking here. I already raised children. I'm not looking to raise the next generation. I raised you. I don't want to raise your children too. I already did that. Like, and I feel like there's it's hard. It's not easy, and it's a questioning, kind of like, there's a very weird, like, you have trickery on your side, but I feel like it's kind of like the real reason you're doing what you're doing is because of the benefit. Like, and you're kind of questioning, like, if I start pushing back, if I start bucking the system, then what? And you're kind of feeling like you're stuck in the situation. You're aware of what somebody's doing. I feel like when trickery is on your side, you're aware of the trickery here. But you might be accepting it due to what you're dealing with. In the environment, I'm noticing gossip, which I'm an intuitive reader, which means I don't just automatically, like, I see the word gossip and go with it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. In this case, I'm not feeling gossip. But I'm seeing, like, if you see the actions of the people on here, somebody's having a lot of fun. The other two people aren't. And that's what I'm noticing with this. Somebody's doing this, doing that, having a good time. They like what they like. And other people around them are kind of like, why do you get to have all the fun? And I feel like that's basically what's happening. You're picking up the workload for someone else, and they're enjoying it. And I just don't feel like that's fair. I feel like you're doing more. I feel like you're doing a lot more than you need to be. But you're feeling like this is what I have to do. For some of you, I understand this is a job thing, and you're kind of like, well, I'm stuck. But they're also saying that's not really the case. There is something here to change this. There is a way to move this around in a different way. Something better seems to be coming forward. Is it permanent or temporary is a question, because this is a very interesting Lover's card, and I'm really noticing, like, they're showing a different version than I've noticed in the past. It's the pleasure and the pain I'm noticing. Like, if you look at this Lover's card, you'll notice one tree is fire. It's inflamed. That one person looks like they're in pain. The other person looks like they're happy and flourishing with bounty. And then there's the angel with the... that's some hair. That's some hair going on there. That's some hair. This is where this is going next. This has to be rebalanced, because this definitely is kind of looking at this like it's not working out right. And I'm getting like the angel above this is saying there's going to be a change coming up. There's going to be a moment where, it just gets too much. And it's going to be quite apparent that this other person, they can do what they're supposed to do. They don't. This doesn't need to balance out the way it has been. It's going to be very painfully apparent that you're doing way more than you should be. The other person or whoever else is supposed to be doing something that they're not. This is a moment where they have to. They have to. And this is your chance to kind of reevaluate the situation and find a way around it. Because I feel like when this moment comes in and the situation is forced, it's kind of like you were doing the majority of the work for a while. And people are expecting you to do that. This moment, for some reason, there's some type of moment, and it's not really hitting exactly how that's coming in. Something comes in, though. The person who's kind of making out on this situation, they have to do what they're supposed to do. Like if we're going to use that analogy where you're invited to dinner and you expect to do the dishes, but when you show up, they're like, well, could you take that out of the cupboard? Could you do that? Could you actually make it? Could you set the table? Could you make sure the kids come to the table? Okay, and then, you said you were going to clean up anyway, so have fun. But now it's kind of like, for whatever reason, it's kind of like they have to. There's somebody there, or something's going on where you can't do it. Maybe there's something else going on, you just can't. So they actually put it all together. They make sure everybody's at the table. You still enjoy the moment. And it's like they have to do it. And I feel like there's a conversation, you're having an opportunity. You're having the opportunity for a conversation afterwards. It's an opportunity, though. I don't feel like this is set in stone, like this will happen, but they're saying this is your moment to rebalance the situation. This is your moment to say, listen, obviously you can handle it, and it's becoming a little bit too much for me. I don't mind doing the dishes, but, I don't want to get everything together, cook everything, set the table, bring the kids to the table, make sure everybody has what they need, and then clean up afterwards. That's too much. And obviously you can do what you're supposed to do. I need you to do your half, and I want to go back to just clean up. I don't mind doing that. Like, I know some people that they literally like it. They like washing dishes, they like doing the whole thing, which is cool. I'm not one of those people. Not that it matters. But you have an opportunity to rebalance this and get this back the way it should be. The quest card comes up on your side. It's not bad, but I feel like you're going to have a tendency to fall back in the same pattern. It's almost like, I feel bad saying this, like you've been trained, and it's like your natural pattern at this point, and you're having a hard time not falling back into that. Like, for example, we're going to use that same analogy. The talk happens, they're like, okay, yeah, that's fair. You just do the cleanup, I'll do all the rest. You show up early. You start feeling guilty. You start helping with this, you start helping with that. Before you know it, you're going to be right back where you were. Be careful. It's kind of like the gift and the detriment of an earth sign, in my opinion. You get in a path, you get used to certain things, you just naturally go into it. The gift of that is, if things are going well, success is really solid, right? The negative side of it, detriment, whatever you want to call it, if things aren't going that well and you're very used to it, it's hard to break the pattern. That's like the gift and the detriment of Earth, an Earth sign, so Virgo, Capricorn, Taurus, the three of y'all together. Where this ends, they're saying it's up to you. Again, like when we started this off, at the beginning of the day, how do you feel? There's a lot to do. I got a lot to do. Or is it kind of like, I'm excited to get these things done. At the end of the day, I feel very accomplished. Or at the end of the day, there's a lot more to do tomorrow. Like, how do you feel? Perfection with the Five of Swords is saying, this is not going to be like a 5-second fix. It's not going to be one conversation and everything goes the way it should be and it sticks. There's going to be a learning curve. I feel like if you identify with how this is going. Like, you're having a hard time letting go because you're used to it. It's weird because I feel like you're used to it at this point. Having a talk and letting this person know, I don't mind helping every now and then, here and there, but like I want you to lead the way. I want you to take care of the majority of it, and I'll just help here and there. And holding yourself to that standard, like I need them to do that. I don't want to take control of this, so I got to reserve myself and step back. I got to reserve myself and let them take over. I'm used to it. I'm used to doing this. I'm used to doing that. But I need to pull back from that. Because the Five of Swords is saying it's kind of like left or right. Like, I don't feel like you're going to completely, for example, if we're going to use this same example again, you're still going to probably show up early. You're still going to have these urges to help here and there. You know what I mean? It's just don't end up showing up early and then doing everything like normal. Just here and there, like, oh, they're cooking a couple things on the stove, this kid needs help. Let me cook for this for a little while. You go take care of that. When you come back, I'll give it back to you. Helping set the table, not setting it all yourself, but maybe helping here or there. You know what I mean? Things like that. Be careful how you go into it. Like, the end of this is saying, if you fall back into the same rut, it's only you that can hold yourself to the standard of not letting that happen again. Like pulling yourself back and like forcing yourself out of that comfortable, like, oh, well, I do this anyway, they're expecting it. Pulling yourself back, and instead of actually doing it, saying, okay, we had that talk, so I'm going to let you do it. Or, seeing that they're doing it, maybe they're not doing it exactly the way you would have done it, or not as fast as you would have done it, still holding back and just letting them do what they need to do. It's kind of like you're going to have to regulate yourself not to fall back into that pattern. Just be careful. Don't fall back into the pattern. Once you get out, or once you have a chance to get out, see, this is the thing with Virgo too. I'm trying to end this, but I'm getting one last thing. Earth is okay with change to a point, but it's like a slow veering. You change over time. So that might be a good thing to notice, like when you have this talk, if that talk happens, if you initiate it or participate in it, relinquishing it slowly might be better for you. Like slowly moving out of that pattern, slowly moving towards what you actually want it to do. If there's a way for you to have slow change, like, what, I'm used to doing it at this point, but let's slowly move it back to your court where it should be. If you can find a way for that to happen, that I feel like that would be the most comfortable, but it's up to you how you want to work that out. All right, I think it's good. All right, I'm going to shut this down here. I hope that helps. Thank you for watching. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James, the number 4, astral@gmail.com. Thank you.